Can y'all hear me now? Okay. What is going on, fam? How is everybody doing? Let me get this little join ADOS off the screen. If you have not already joined, please, ladies and gentlemen, please go to joinados.com and do your due diligence. Anyway, fam, I'm not going to be in here long. I just had to. Fam, politics. I don't understand why people don't like politics. I love it. Like the power games that are being played, and there's so many lessons to learn if you really are interested in doing something good for your people. Now, if you're just interested in other things, well, of course, there's nothing there to learn for you. But if you are interested in doing the right thing, there are lessons to learn. So what is Yvette babbling about? What is she talking about? What happened? Well, a lot. We're going to get through it fairly quickly, but a lot happened. Now, first things first, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there was some real, I almost named this show Motion to Vacate. because how many of you all remember this picture with McCarthy and Gaetz, right? And they were fighting even before all this speaker stuff and all this stuff that was going on. They were fighting, and y'all remember McCarthy almost didn't even get his job, right? Because there were so many votes, and anybody else would have been like, just forget it. I don't want it that much. If y'all don't want me, I don't want you. Because that's how many votes were. Anybody remember, fam? It was like 7 or 8 for McCarthy, right? So I just want everybody to understand. So for those of you who need context, I understand a lot of stuff happens in the world, and you might have to have some kind of context in terms of what exactly happened, what transpired. So 4 takeaways. This is just to give you some context. 4 takeaways from, and I'm going to talk about power, 4 takeaways from the historic ousting of House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Well, I'm not going to go through all 4. We're just going to give you something to chew and gnaw on, okay? Get down to brass tacks. Kevin McCarthy's run as Speaker was relatively short and anything but sweet. Relatively short. I think that's he's the first to be ousted. Like, oh my, relatively. Oh, that's generous. On Tuesday, he was taken down, from both sides of the aisle. Now, ladies and gentlemen, isn't this very interesting? Taken down from both sides of the aisle as 8 Republicans joined all Democrats in a historic 2,206 to 2-10 vote to vacate the seat. Motion to vacate. By the end of the night, an interim speaker had been named, but there was little certainty about who would ultimately be elected to the role. And then NPR has 4 of their little takeaways from us, mostly taken from their shows when they have interviewed people. So we'll just go through a couple of them just to provide you with some context. First, like they say, a bit of context. McCarthy was elected speaker in January after I said 8 or 9, 15 rounds of voting. That man can take humiliation to get some power, boy. You got to give it to him. He managed to finally secure the gavel, in part by agreeing to demands from a fringe group of Republicans to change the rules on who can propose a rule to remove the speaker, allowing just one member to do it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes, as we talk about just basic politics, sometimes what you have to do to get the job is not worth the job. If I have to say, well, it only takes one person to put forth a motion to get rid of me, then that means I ain't really got the job, so I don't want the job. Because that means anybody can come forth because they mad and make a deal to get rid of me. I do not think, just in terms of political conversation, that made sense. And I thought so at the time, and I said, they're going to come back and get him, because Gaetz was hollering at him and yelling at him through the thing. And I said, they're going to come back and get, and yes, they did. And they joined with Democrats to do it. Apparently, they didn't make enough, he didn't agree to enough concessions with the Democrats. He looked weak because he made too many concessions to Republicans and not the ones who wanted the concessions. And now Gaetz is out here talking about, he had, it was, as I slow it down, it was very interesting. Gaetz said that, like, he had, and this is not normally the way it's done, but it goes to whether or not that's the way it should be done. So kind of the thinking behind this is we want the Gaetz, I guess you could call it that, the him right there who pointed the finger. It looked like what he was saying is, you're not going to hold this thing kind of hostage the way people normally do. We're going to vote on this piecemeal. So in the sense of, you're not going to be able to come and say, oh my God, you're not supporting the troops. I can't believe you're not supporting the troops. No, give me the troop stuff and I'll vote on it. Give me the other stuff and I'll vote on it. But don't put all this other stuff in here, like war and all this other stuff. And it's probably a lot of stuff for Negroes I don't want, given who they are. He was saying, don't put all of that in there. We're going to do this piecemeal. And see, that's the kind of bind you put yourself in. If you know one person really, really hates you, and you say it don't take but one person to do this, you have already put yourself in quite a pickle. It becomes quite the conundrum for you. So let me go on to just a few more points from this NPR article really quickly. Enter Florida Rep. Matt Gaetz. Gaetz never supported McCarthy for Speaker and on Tuesday led the charge against him. He cited McCarthy's decision to pass short-term spending bill with Democratic support as evidence he had not fulfilled his promise to conservatives. As McCarthy's allies urged calm during Tuesday's debate, saying a vote to vacate the Speaker could plunge the House into chaos, Gaetz was quick to turn the blame around. Child, it's all about who gets the blame. It ain't about who do the dirt. Chaos is Speaker McCarthy. Chaos is somebody who we cannot trust with their word. Now, this is all kind of kerfuffled and I feel like kind of made up and a made up controversy. But what it was is a really good grab for power. Now, let's continue, shall we? Republican strategist Ron Bungen, I'm not your name, child. Y'all know how bad I am with names. Blame it to my head, not my heart. Told All Things Considered, this isn't how most Republicans would have liked to see this play out. I am really shocked on one hand, and on the other hand, it's rather surprising that McCarthy lasted this long considering the current dynamics in the House. He said he didn't believe the group of 8 Republicans that voted with Democrats to oust McCarthy had a plan beyond that move. So wait a minute, they got you out of there and they didn't even have a plan of what comes next? Yes, sir, that's the way it looks now. The Democrats chose not to save McCarthy. Before the vote, there was some speculation that Democrats might step in to save McCarthy by voting present rather than in favor of the motion to vacate. But in the end, McCarthy didn't offer them any concessions and Democrats voted to have him removed. Leon Panetta, a former Democratic House member and director of the CIA, told All Things Considered that McCarthy was a failed leader. My goodness. The reason he failed is because too often he capitulated to his opponents and ultimately lost his credibility and his trust as a result of that, in the hope that ultimately his opponents would somehow be loyal to him, he said. I think in doing that, he really undermined his credibility. Now that I've given you all the context and all the low down, dirty of what happened, I want to ask y'all if y'all picked up on one thing. I want to know if everybody picked up on one thing, which I found very important. It only took 8 Republicans to oust a Republican from leadership. It only took 8. Now, because it was set up in such a way that the Democrats weren't going to come in and save them, but it only took 8 people from that party and some negotiations and some conversations behind the scenes. Now, why do you say that, Yvette? Why do you point out the number 8? Because how many members of the CBC do we have? I'm just asking a question. I don't mean no disrespect. I'm just asking a question. How many members of the CBC do we have? So here's your answer right here. The reason I put this to you is because you have to understand that this was a power play. Regardless of how you feel about it, how I feel about it, this was a power play, what Gaetz and them did. This was what it was. So my question then becomes, or my concern then becomes, why haven't we done anything where we kind of hold Democrats to it, even if we have to use Republicans, because everybody in this game is kind of a tool, right? It's all these are tools. So why haven't we done anything like this, right? Because we're not, the answer becomes very, 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 very sad when you realize we're not political players. We're sort of like, in Congress, a lot of us, it seems to me, we're sort of like mascots. We're not the donkey, but we the donkey. So we the thing that gets sent off to news and talk about, oh my God, the Republicans are so awful and they try to put us back into slavery. And remember when Biden said that they're gonna put y'all back in chains? What? They coming? The Republicans is coming with chains. What you talking about? There is no thought of, yeah, they're awful and they're awful too. So how do I navigate within this awful thing? Like, they may be less awful to me. I'm a Democrat if I'm a CBC member, right? Most of them. I'm not talking about Tim Scott. I'm not talking, but like, if that is the case, if that is your reality, if you are in a very, very, very tough spot, you would think you have to play politics instead of puppet. But the reason we hardly ever pull this off is because of puppet. And the reason a lot of our own people don't even come out and try to tell us, hey, do something different, is because we don't understand it. I don't think everybody knows how many people told me during the Obama administration that, oh, Yvette, you don't understand. Obama can't do nothing for us because he needs the Republicans. And I said, wait a minute. We're not just talking about what he can do congressionally. We're talking about regulations. We're talking about in terms of the Department of Housing, Department of the DOJ. We're talking about a lot of things that he has control over in terms of his cabinets, appointments, things like that. We're talking about stuff that he can't control, budgets he can't control, personnel he can't control. And people were just looking at me like they had like a deer in the headlights. Because they had no idea, oh, wait a minute, you're saying that there's stuff that happens in D.C. that Obama controls and he doesn't really need a lot of congressional oversight for, right? Like, are you saying that, like, yeah, that's oversight, but it's not like he don't have to go and take it, everything that happens doesn't have to go through and have a vote? Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. And so what happens is the CBC, it seems to me, is being treated as sort of mascots to go around and tout all the wonderful things that Democrats do while being on the bottom of the totem pole in terms of who their constituents are and being unwilling to play politics with anybody else, even if it means blowing some stuff up politically, right? They're not willing. And that's a problem, because it leaves you, ladies and gentlemen, in a very, 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 very powerless and sort of impotent state. It leaves you in politics as a beggar. Oh, a beggar. You become a group that is just known for begging and begging and begging some more, as opposed to a group that is really, and so when you're known for begging, what happens is nobody respects you. Yeah, they go around here begging. They go around here with their little cup, alms for the poor, right? Not my fancy cup. But they go around here like that and nobody really respects you. And people know you're going to get whatever you can take out of any bill. You don't really pay politics. You can't do nothing with the other side. You never try to do nothing with the other side, even when we had like real moderate. So everybody knows you're not going to, like, can you imagine the CBC deciding to do something with Republicans as it relates to like immigration or something, and just bolting because of what they're seeing in Chicago and because of what they're seeing at the, and how that is impacting ADOS. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine what a power play that would look like? But they're never going to do it. They're never going to do it. They scared. We real scared. If we do that, we're scared of what's going to happen to us. What they going to say about Hakeem Jeffries if we do that? We scared. And so this is how you get this. Child. Governor Newsom was making his. Feinstein finally went to glory, and Governor Newsom of California had a decision to make. Who will I appoint to this thing? And everybody's been running around saying, "Don't matter. It's always got to be a black woman." And then the CBC has decided what kind of black or ADOS or whatever woman they want, and so they send a strong letter. They send a strong letter. Let me bring this so you can see a little bit better. She is the only. They're talking about Barbara Lee. So they say she is the only person with the courage, the vision, and the record to eradicate poverty, face down the fossil fuel industry, defend our democracy, and tirelessly advance the progressive agenda, writes Chairman Stephen Horsford in urging Newsom to appoint Barbara Lee. Now they did a TV offensive too. Y'all remember Simone Sanders before she was out carrying somebody's coat. She was out Vice President Kamala Harris. She made the woman into a coat rack. She should have been secretary. She should have been press secretary, but they gave that to Christine Jean-Pierre, and they made her into a coat rack. And then they gave her a TV show, and Horstman was on there talking about it's got to be. They were applying pressure, ladies and gentlemen. Letters, TV, all of that stuff. Your CBC was applying pressure to get Newsom to appoint Barbara Lee. The whole CBC was rallying behind her. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Newsom did not care. Governor Newsom, like within hours of them releasing the letter and going on TV, he released his person. Like he might say, child, I'm not even going to pretend like I talk to y'all. I'm not even going to pretend like y'all matter to me. Right? I'm not even going to pretend like that y'all matter. Listen, I'm releasing. I'm sorry, y'all. I have chosen who I'm going to choose. What's the point if you got a whole caucus and y'all don't really have no influence on the governor? He released his nomination hours, and he said history is made, and that's your reparations, ladies and gentlemen. Since we so into identity politics and the woman this and the first this and the first that, okay, here you go, history made, job done. He's still lining it up for president, even if he ain't gonna do it right now. He gonna do it, and he gonna say, I gave you somebody that's blickety black for Feinstein's seat and all that stuff. And what you gonna do? Just because I ain't give you the black you want, I gave you black. Now in this conversation, nobody is talking about an agenda. They talked about, you saw the CBC in their letter, they talked about fossil fuel and climate and all this stuff. Like, okay, that's a great general California agenda, but I guess, I don't even know what California want. Like, but that's not something that as a caucus, as a black caucus, like, I don't know that you want to rally around that poverty. I get it because we're on the bottom. I get how that becomes a part of it. I don't even know what you're talking about. But y'all came out there and Newsom said, excuse me, if you would just move over for 1 second. And he had y'all didn't have no choice but to come out later and be like, you know what? we welcome her. We welcome. I ain't never seen, he didn't even give y'all the opportunity to save face. He didn't even give y'all opportunity like, well, we talked and we understand his choice. He didn't give y'all the opportunity. He said, if y'all don't get out of here, the CBC is proud to welcome U.S. Senator Laphonza, that's on Twitter, as the 59th member of our caucus. Y'all switched up real quick. You have no choice. Today she makes history as the first lesbian black woman to serve in the United States Senate. We look forward to all we will accomplish. Now here's the thing. This is something else that I found quite odd. The NAACP also mentioned her sexuality. That's very interesting to me because you're not an LGBT organization. So for you, this is not a first that should mean something to you. Like, it's a first. I don't even know why y'all do first no more. I don't know why anybody, like, as long as we're on the bottom, we shouldn't even do first no more. First, it's a first lesbian, bisexual, child, go down and sit down somewhere. I don't even know why we do first no more because obviously first don't matter. First are supposed to represent the ascension of the group. They're supposed to represent our advancement. We got the first this, first that. Oh, we moving. We finna be in there. We have had a bunch of firsts for a lot of years, and it has meant nothing to the bottom line of who we are. But in terms of your mission as a National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, I don't see what sexuality has to do with anything. In terms of the CBC, I don't see what sexuality has to do with anything in terms of who you're supposed to be representing. This is not about her being the first lesbian. This is not what that's about. This is about what she, if I was writing something, I'd be like, she fought for whatever unions or whatever, even though we know some stuff about that now. We know some stuff about that. But we hope that she champions ADOS working people. And I would write out some of the needs of ADOS working people. Like and some of the bills we need her support on, right? In the Senate or whatever. We need you to champion these bills. They would close the racial wealth gap by this much. This would provide this much housing for ADOS people. I would make this simply about I understand the CBC is not all ADOS, so even if you wanted to say blackety blickety black, how do we get into celebrating sexuality as the thing if that's who you are? Now, if you are the LGBTQ caucus, that totally makes sense. If you are the Human Rights Campaign, that totally makes sense for you. Totally makes sense. I just don't see how it makes sense in the context of ADOS or whatever y'all call blickety blickety black. Because half of the CBC don't want to be messing around with us, whatever, child. I don't know if we losing nothing. Y'all ain't don't seem like y'all got too much in the way of power, honey. But let's go on to a couple more things. Barbara Lee had to come out and say, I wish Laphonza well, and look forward to working closely with her to deliver for the Golden State. I am singularly focused on winning my campaign for Senate. So you got to go back to work, honey. California deserves an experienced senator who will deliver on progressive priorities. That's exactly what I'm running to do. All they fight. I'm sorry. Like, this is just, I mean, hey, Newsom is angling. That man has been the biggest power player in California. He didn't show up for no reparation stuff, but he know how to move and shake. And it seems to me sometimes people don't show up for you because they don't feel like they need to show up. If you apply pressure, them politicians show up. Oh, I've been busy. and this is why. This is also why, like I said, we're not gonna be here long, fam, today. But this is also why I have a problem with somebody just being black, because like, this is whatever. If even they were ADOS, my people came from slaves. I don't want to hear that either right now. That's great, but I want to hear what your agenda looks like. So if I go and look through your tweets, it's a lot of stuff there which speaks to your politics, which speaks maybe to California or whatever, but it doesn't speak to black, right? It just speaks to kind of this general liberalism, this California liberalism or whatever, progressivism. You have more stuff about, like immigration than you have in terms of stuff that is beneficial to me, beneficial in terms of closing the racial wealth gap, beneficial in terms of things that are specific to ADOS now. And that's my concern. So I don't care, because you being black doesn't necessarily translate into you having an agenda that is beneficial to me. And the Congressional Black Caucus framed everything wrong by just making it about that, because it's not just about that. It is about, these are the things, if you're in the Congressional Black Caucus, you got to say, you got to represent the caucus. So you got to say, these are the things that our caucus believes are good, that advance the rights, the wealth, anti-discrimination of ADOS people. And we hope when you get here, we have your support on these things. Welcome. What's the child's name? Laphonza. Welcome, Laphonza. That's what you got. Like, just plain as blickety blickety black and gay and lesbian. That ain't it. I don't even know how everybody lost their way. And people are like, well, she represents California, not just ADOS. But you represent Congressional Black Caucus. You don't represent California. You don't get to give her off the hook because, well, she represents who she represents. No. Your job is to represent who you represent. If you're in a caucus that represents a specific group of people, that's part of your job. And your main job is to represent your constituents. Y'all didn't have no problem writing letters to Newsom about y'all didn't have no problem with that. Y'all was real. We stand together, blickety blickety black, to Barbara Lee. He told y'all, if y'all don't go on, I'm sorry, I don't be the laugh, but child, this is not a power play, and I see a lot here that represents, pro immigration values of California. She checks all the boxes. Let me tell you, that's kind of what diversity looks like now. Diversity looks like checking the boxes. So it's not always a testament. It's an identity thing. I'm not checking for your agenda. I'm not checking where you stand on issues. I'm not checking what you believe. I'm not checking your track record. You check the boxes. You are a woman. You are quote unquote black. You are your sexuality. You lesbian. You are. I mean, there are boxes that you check that people are now looking for. But you put yourself in that position too when you say, when you even with Kamala, we want a black woman, we don't care. But what if there was a white woman that was better? What if there was a black man that was better? And when I say better, I mean has a better political agenda, and who is more on board with us in terms of policies and politics, right? But if you just come out the gate and say, I just want a black woman, you hamstring yourself in that way, because they can give you one that may not be there for you, but you said you wanted bliggity bliggity black, and that's what you got. Now carry on. He said history made, and walked off. Like Newsom said, yeah, you gotta love the gangster. The gangster said history made and walked off. That's what y'all asked for. blickety, 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 black. Y'all didn't say y'all didn't say we want somebody who supports this and we hope y'all didn't say listen, we have an agenda. Like as a congressional black caucus, y'all didn't say listen, we have an agenda that we want to support. And our hope is that here's the list, and we hope that whoever you put in this place, they are very supportive of the Congressional Black Caucus's agenda, right? You had a person, and you didn't even put that out early before you chose a person, just to put it out there and say, hey, put it out there. This is what we stand for. This is part of the problem with being like identity driven as opposed to agenda driven. As we celebrate Pride Month, I wanted to lift up um, uh, uh, that's what Corinne Jean Pierre, who is doing her thing at the White House press secretary, leading as an openly gay immigrant mom and bringing her whole self to the job. Doing it, girl. We got your back. I don't got her back. I'm just telling you just what it is. Listen, I don't mean no disrespect. Nobody should take it that way, but I don't got nobody's back. None of these people. So there's a lot of like this is Judy Sue's immigrant parents believed in the American dream. Arriving on a cargo ship, they built a small business and raised a daughter who became a workers' rights advocate and a civil rights leader. And now she is the most qualified candidate for labor secretary, ready on day one. There's a lot of stuff here. Listen. If I'm pro immigration, if I'm pro open borders, like this would be a great. This would but very very pro dreamers in terms of language that was adopted. Um, from King, we should have been the dreamers. I don't know how we allow other people to call themselves the dreamers. And King gave the "I Have a Dream" speech, and we did not even call ourselves the dreamers. Instead, we have people who were born in this country, um, and who are not legally have no legal right to be here. They are the dreamers. So that's very interesting to me how we allow people to co-opt um, our stuff. But hey, we talked about that. Cisneros is whoever that is the daughter of a Mexican immigrant, a lifelong Texan, and a human rights attorney. Join us in supporting her. There's a lot of this here. I'm just saying in terms of politics. I'm just talking in terms of politics. Very, very supportive. And let's get to real quick her support of Kamala Harris, your favorite VP, ladies and gentlemen. Kamala Harris has met with over 100 world leaders and traveled to 18 countries to strengthen our alliances and partnerships around the world, with particular emphasis on Southeast Asia and the Caribbean and Africa. Like so many, I was deeply moved by her remarks in South Africa. So, it's very interesting. Even when we talk about immigration, you see somebody put up a tweet, and I wanted to put it beside and show this tweet, put them because I put them beside each other in a tweet myself. With Karen Bass saying, because we talk about people like, oh, that's not right to talk about immigration that way. I'm not talking about it in that way. Let me just juxtapose something for you in terms of why our needs need to be prioritized. So you see, in the U.S., just 7% of physicians and surgeons are Latino, and just 9% of healthcare practitioners. I met with Dr. Flores during my visit to the White House Memorial Hospital to discuss the low stats and what we can and how we can make sense of it. Well, see, the thing is, I keep telling everybody, people have moved on, right? Everybody done moved on past us and all that stuff. So how do you do that? Like, how do you have this discussion as how do you have this kind of discussion when juxtaposed against this reality? And shout out to Debs from Output. That was great. That was a great tweet. So only 5.7% of U.S. doctors are black. Now this is after us being here for over 400 years. You want to talk to me and you want to cry to me about 7% of physicians and surgeons are Latino. Well, for a Latino, first of all, you all know how I feel about that phrase. You could have just gotten here last week. You could have just gotten here last year. You could have just gotten here 10 years ago. Those numbers make absolute sense because a lot of that is a lot of that is assimilation that your kid might be that or whatever. So we're talking about it, and you could be a white Latino. So it just doesn't really make any sense. But only 5.7% of US doctors are black. And the person who is talking about that is Nigerian. So you're probably looking at 1 to 2% of those doctors who are ADOS. And we're not having a conversation about that, especially even though we know the outcomes. How having especially an ADOS doctor changes the outcomes in terms of patients. We know that. When somebody gets in there and they're talking to us and they sound like us and we know that, but we don't have our own doctors no more. Like even our black doctors are mostly not us. But our politicians will talk about how horrible it is, not that we don't have more Latino doctors. By what right? By what right do we let people behave this way and not force people to focus on an agenda that centers us? We've been here longer than anybody, and we're at the bottom of everybody still. You're probably looking at 1 to 2% who are ADOS doctors. We won't like listen in the next generation. You won't have no real ADOS professionals. You're not gonna have no ADOS doctors and lawyers. You might as well get that up. And if they did, they come from a parent who was a lawyer. Like they have lawyer parents. You're not gonna or doctor or ADOS doctor parents. You never had it. We're gonna be less than 1%. And it's apparently nobody really talks about it, so it's okay for our politicians not to really listen. 7% is not a big deal. That's not a problem. I mean, you show me because you have to show me if you can become white. What we have seen is that Latinos, once they immigrate into this country, their wealth goes higher than ours. So once they successfully integrate into whiteness, we don't. So please tell me what the problem is. My goodness. And so I bring that up to just show what happens when we don't center ourselves. We have to center ourselves. Centering ourselves is important. But even when we go back to Laphonza, let's talk about that. Let's go all the way back to she got Feinstein's seat now. She done went over there. I think she got sworn in. They got a nice picture over there. Look at the Lee Barbara Lee got in there. Smile. I ain't mad no more. It's all good. I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be a fly in the buttermilk. And everybody was like, Laphonza is with the union and all that stuff. Okay, okay, okay. But let me just say one other thing. This is nothing that comes up about Miss Butler though. Butler joined SCRB Strategies as a partner in 2018. At SCRB, she played a central role in Kamala Harris' 2020 presidential campaign. Butler was known as a political ally of Harris since her first run for California Attorney General in 2010, when she helped Harris negotiate shared SCIU endorsement in the race. Butler left SCRB in 2020 to join Airbnb as Director of Public Policy and Campaigns in North America. Oh, it gets a little bit worse, though. It gets a little bit worse. You know how we talk about worst thing? One of the worst things. Obama did a lot of stuff bad. But one of the worst things he did was the gig economy became the gig economy under Obama. I don't even think Trump could have got away with it. I don't. I don't think a Republican could have got away with it at all. You have people like Boyce Watkins saying, "Yeah, this is great. This is great." And I don't think he has that video up no more. I look for it. This is great. This is a great way to start a business. You can start a business on the side by you just Uber. You just Uber. You had dummies like him saying things like that didn't make any sense, right? And you had Obama ushering in this gig economy, which means you don't have any understanding. Gig economy tore down labor. So for somebody who represented labor to then go and work for the gig economy, oh my goodness, it tore down labor. Like labor laws, like what you're supposed to have in terms of protection, what you're supposed to have in terms of healthcare, what you're supposed to have in terms of rights, all that's going in terms of the gig economy. And people connected to a bunch of Democrats are the ones who, we expect certain stuff from Republicans. I do. But that's not who's ushering in all this stuff with the gig economy. So you see, Kamala Harris's brother-in-law is the public face of Uber's fight with labor. Ain't that something? So they gonna have us all in this gig economy. People say, "Hey, we gonna get no reparations." Well, child, give your child a map, because sometimes the Lyft driver had told me one time that sometimes sometimes they stuff go out and they don't know where they at. So give your child a map and just call it a day. If we ain't gonna get and no policy either. Like you gotta have policy and labor and protection. And Kamala Harris's brother was the face of this. This 2019. He was the face of Uber fight, and y'all talking about, well, Kamala, that's my sis. And wait a minute, Miss Butler, what you do in that regard? Uber has also retained Laphonza Butler, a senior Harris campaign strategist, to advise the company on its dealing with organized labor. Butler, who used to lead SEIU California, is a partner at SCRB Strategies, a consulting firm that Uber paid $105,000 during the first half of the year, according to records filed with California Secretary of State. SCRB's other partners are Juan Rodriguez, who is Harris's campaign manager, and Sean Clegg and A. Smith, both senior strategists on her campaign. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, if you're wondering why the stuff is happening the way it's happening, look no further. That's all I can say. I mean, there's nothing really more that I can say. If you're wondering how this is happening and why it's happening, and we got in here, but at least, hey, it's Uber and she doing all the stuff, but at least she black, right? I mean, live whatever, gig economy, all that stuff. Remember the whole thing that happened now, the whole thing that she recently, I was reading, helped out with, was so that they don't get seen as workers. They're seen as just gig people, right? So that was part of the thing she worked on too, that I was looking. So, I mean, hey, but I mean, they don't want to, as long as you don't talk about policy, and as long as you just talk about, ooh, sis, you know, as long as you just talk about that, ain't nobody got no problem. Ain't nobody got no problem. As long as you don't want to have the real conversation, ain't nobody got no problem. It's fine. It's fine. And we don't have the real conversation. We have gotten into this kind of identity politics space where it's only about, like it used to be a time people say, well, we used to want black people. Well, we used to try to have a good idea. This is years and decades ago, that the person who was going to do the stuff was probably on a page close to ours. Now these people be so far away from what we believe in and what we stand for. And we don't even see it because we see the aesthetics. Oh my God, she's black. Oh my God, she's gay. Oh my God, isn't this progress? No, no. Progress is about lifting up people. Like, that's general for America, right? Everybody has a certain standard of living in a Western country. It's specific to ADOS, but even in terms of what Democrats are supposed to be, that's supposed to be for the people. I don't know. You can't even, like, it is in such a way now that we can't even really assess it. We can't even assess it because everybody gets so caught up in race. In terms of black woman, we can't even assess it. Listen, or we can't even talk about. So it gets in such a way we can't even have a conversation about whether this person is good at what we need them to be good at. Whether this person is proficient in what we need them to be proficient at. We can't even have that conversation. We can't even do that because we're not talking about the agenda. We're not talking about we're not talking about Uber. We're not talking about her role. We're not talking about Kamala's brother's role. We're not talking about her relationship with Kamala. We're not talking about any of that. We're only talking about this identity and who this person is. And if anybody says anything about her, we will go and defend them because black or whatever, or the queer community gay. And this has just become a way to kind of play us, right? And just kind of play in our faces. And we don't even see it. We don't seem to care. The CBC don't have no power. They just want their girl in. And Newsom had way more power than them. He looked like he rushed that out once he found out that they were child. Don't nobody listen to them. Don't nobody listen to them. Nobody listen to the CBC. They don't have no muscle to flex. Just go on MSNBC and talk loud and say nothing. Oh my goodness, it's wild, fam. But like I said, I'm gonna get out here early. I'm gonna go to break. I'll come back if anybody wants to call in. If y'all saw it, what do y'all think of her? What do y'all think of her as your new U.S. senator? Did y'all see the McCarthy stuff? What did you think about that? So I'm gonna leave the phones open in case anybody wants to call in. Then I give me a couple minutes, fam, and I'll be back. It's crazy. We are back. Like I said, I'm not gonna keep y'all too long today. So let's go to a few callers though, real quick. Let's go to a couple calls real quick. We ain't gonna stay long today. 415, what's going on?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
So, fine, thanks. Well, a little disappointed in the so-called leaders, as you have been discussing about the first. And one of the things I have wanted to bring up, which I get getting kicked off of TikTok for talking about, is the Argentinian erasure. And I don't know if you're familiar with the history of the black Argentinians or not.
I know they got wiped out, I think. They said there were no black Argentinians. I thought, yeah.
No, see, that's why, if you go to YouTube and you look at Argentina, blacks in Argentina, yes, they had a significant population of blacks who they managed to erase. And I would bring it up on TikTok, and I would get kicked off, muted, removed, so I was being anti-hate of everybody. And what happened was, the Argentinians, the black Argentinians, and for some of us it's heartbreaking when you know the history, they did everything that we're doing now, and that's how they ended up being erased. They had their first, and they pretty much became puppets. Their president, the black president, they sent his picture off to France to be whitened up. They kept them unemployed. They used them in every war they had. And they kept insisting on racial intermarriage and living outside of the traditional family. So over time, they became an erased group. That's why no one has really ever heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're trying to regain that history, their remnant. But that's really kind of difficult when the records, one of the things that's happening here, were rewritten or gotten rid of. And that's what I found, Philip. Sometimes you don't want to know history, especially when you see it repeating itself and playing out all over again.
Yeah, no, I agree.
People kept getting in my,
I agree with you.
People kept getting in my case, talking about, well, why do you see Africa as being so important to us? And I said, first of all, you missed two important things that they managed to accomplish as a continent. One, they're now part of the G20. Two, they're about hopefully to receive a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. And I said, you don't understand. And it kind of hurts me that I came to understand this as a kid, was that what really influences how you are treated in another country is if you are attached to a country,
a homeland,
that actually goes to bat for you and will support you and shows that you're a respected member of that country.
You're never gonna have
it's kind of like
and you're never gonna have that too, because we don't have a homeland. Like, we're too far removed. We will have to be like first generation out of Benin or something like that. And Benin was a real power player or something. We're never gonna have that.
And I told you, I said, look, do you have 10 African countries that are not war-torn, not in disarray, that are trying to find a way to offer us free citizenship? I said, one of the things that the white Europeans, the poor working class Europeans realized during colonization was that their upper class was never going to share wealth and power with them. So they became part of the colonization process. They became actual immigrants. And I really, looking at the way things are now, I believe really the best bet for us to get even of the demands that we've been demanding, rightfully so, is to actually take on dual citizenship in some of these countries.
Let me pause you for a second. Let me pause you for a second. And let me just give you one example. Ghana was traditionally thought of as one of those countries, right? It had been stable for a while. And they recently had the year of return, all of that stuff. The inflation rate in Ghana is now over 40%. It was over 50%. compared to the inflation rate in America, which was 7% and is now at 3.7%. I think sometimes what happens too is that I was watching this video yesterday of this older woman in Ghana, and she was saying, "Oh, I have this big house and it's wonderful." Yes, but it's outside of the context of Western life, and I think too many of us don't understand that we're Western people. Like, there is no going back to Africa because we're not even attached to it anymore, and there is no going back to countries that are poorer, that have less power in the world. And like I'm gonna tell most of y'all, you couldn't even exist in a country that's not developed if your life depended on it. You will see that big house. Say, "Oh my God, you see all that house I get in Ghana?" Yeah, but you don't have real police like the police that you have here. You don't have like people say, "Oh, screw the police." Yeah, if somebody climbing your window tonight, I want to know. What we want is for the police not to kill us. We don't want the police just not to exist. That's the problem I had with defunding the police. The second thing is this: you want to go to a store. You want to? I've been to a country in Africa, rolling blackouts. You want to be able to go to the Kroger or whatever grocery store is in your area. If you paid your light bill, you want to turn the light on and it come on. Like you don't want to feel you want to have a government that you feel like can have leverage if, let's say, it gets too high. You want to have a country. You want to be in a country that can sort of pull some weight. I don't think you have that in African countries. And I think what people do is try to think of ways to kind of escape hatch. And you go to a country where you now are the foreigner. I don't want to be a foreigner in any country. I'll visit and be a foreigner, and I'll be a little dumb foreigner and laugh and smile everywhere. But I don't want to live somewhere as a foreigner to the country, because that's when stuff gets hard, people really go and say, "Oh my God, you're the problem," and not the problem because immigration levels are too high. Because we talk about that here, about immigration levels. You have to have enough for people, but people will get violent. I don't want to be nowhere where like I'm not a native, especially if I built the richest country in the world. I want to go in there. If I'm gonna go, when I'm gonna go to bed, I'm gonna turn that light switch on, and the light's gonna come on. That means something to me.
And I understand that, but you do have countries in Africa where you can get that.
I got it right here, though.
And, and the other thing is that, because you take into account one, BRICS, and then you take into account the fact that the ruling class here has no intention of fixing anything. They themselves are leaving the country, moving their money overseas and buying homes.
People that have money to move, yeah. But let me say this: the African Union is funded mostly by European. It's funded mostly by the EU. They can't even fund the African Union, and somebody wants me to think that I can move to an African country to be free when they can't even fund themselves. Like, you can't even fund the African Union. The Europeans are funding you, and we're funding you too. Like, that means that you're run. We're building and growing military bases over there. China's over there. Russia's over there. They don't control their own stuff. So either way, you're going to be under European control, like the way this stuff is set up. More so over there. I would rather be here. I'm good.
And I understand and I accept that. And, as I said before, when I did monetary stats for, when we were discussing, I said, well, if you had X number of people with money that actually went to one of the African nations just in 1 year, they'd be able to pay off their debt. The thing is this is the thing from my perspective, from knowing history. Anytime you have a situation where a country is doing first, they're getting rid of, decreasing pay in all social services, and they're increasing money in the military and in the police, that country is already moving towards fascism. The citizens just haven't realized it yet.
I agree with you, but let me just add one thing, and I'm gonna let you finish and let you go.
Okay.
We also have a lot of fascist African countries. Like, just because the person in power is African doesn't mean that person isn't corrupt, doesn't mean that person isn't stealing, doesn't mean that person isn't brutalizing you with the police. Like, I don't romanticize any of the countries in Africa. So that doesn't mean that America is going in the right direction. But that also means that a lot of those countries have gone down the wrong direction. And I'm not looking for nowhere to relocate and set up some folding chairs or whatever. I understand how to navigate where I am right here, and this is where my fight is. Now, I'll let you have the last line, and then I'm gonna go to some other callers.
Okay. And there's no disagreeing about that. However, like I said, when you go back to the white colonists that came over, they realized that even though they had an argument similar to yours, they were not going to get their nations to change. They were not going to get a share in wealth or power. and they decided, you know, you guys can stay and keep fighting for it. We've decided that we're going to waste all this time, money, effort, and energy. We're going to go someplace where we can be actual immigrants and help evoke and bring about change.
Well,
and we'll speak to each other 50 years later.
They killed a lot of people too. Like I mean, it wasn't just like we're going to relocate. Like there was bloodshed in that, right? And so I think, and that was a time a long time ago, right? I don't like to compare times. Like right now, Europe has a lock on all this stuff. And when I say Europe and the West, I don't want to just say Europe. The West has a lock on all this stuff, and you're not escaping it by escaping to Africa. You're not relocating. But what I will say, and I'll let you go, and I'm gonna leave it on this for everybody. What I will say is that those of you all who want to relocate to Africa, I think you all should form your own group. I think you all should pull your money together, and I think you all should go and you should report back to us. Like I think you all instead of telling us what y'all gonna do and where y'all gonna go, I think y'all should go. I think y'all should do a group. Y'all should do a blog, video blog, vlog, do all that, and let us know how it's going. Right? Don't talk to me no more. Like I want y'all to prove it. So if y'all want to do that, form a group, because it seems to be a lot of y'all. And I'm not hating. Like I think everybody has a right to do what they want to do. So I think that seems to be a lot of y'all. I think instead of talking to me and writing about how much you feel like this should happen, I want y'all to make it happen. I want y'all to get over there. I want y'all to put up a vlog and let me know how it's going. And we'll comment. And when well, no matter what go on, we'll cheer y'all on. Yay! Look at them over there. Look at them. Look at them go. Look at them go. Look at. Do whatever you got to do. We will support you in love or whatever. We will do all of that. That's what we'll do. So that's what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to, it's a lot of y'all. I don't want y'all to talk about it. I want y'all to be about it. Right? Now leave your passports here. We'll need y'all coming back and coming back crying and hollering and screaming. Like leave your passport here, shred it, abdicate your citizenship, and vlog. Now we ain't sending no money or nothing now, but we will support you in love. We will support you as sisters and brothers who have decided to abandon us here. But like I said, no money, just heartfelt stuff we got for you. Going to my next caller, I am going to 954. 954, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, fam. What's going on?
Hey, Yvette, what's up? This is Ulum off of Twitter. What's up, Yvette? What's up, Breaking Down? I just want to make some quick points real quick.
Go ahead.
So, the first one is, I was kind of arguing online with some people about the McCarthy situation. I said something similar. I said it only took eight senators, eight Republicans to oust the House Speaker, which is an unprecedented event, first time ever happened in the history of America. And people were in my comments talking about, oh, well, you know, they have to get 200 votes and blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't just 8 people.
Let me correct
that, because people have a hard time understanding how power works. So, yeah, it did take a vote of 208 people on the Democrat side, plus 8 from the Republicans to get 216 versus 210 to get them out of office. That's true. Do you remember what happened during the pandemic with the whole Asian hate crime bill nonsense?
What happened?
Senator Duckworth, she's one of 2 Asian senators in Congress. When Biden got into office, he had 50 Democrat senators and 50 Republican senators, with Kamala Harris being a tiebreaker, quote unquote. So he was trying to get all his appointments approved through the Senate. And Representative Duckworth, she told Biden, I'm gonna vote no on everything until you give me what I want. And so she told Biden, I wanted to have more Asian representation in government, and I wanted you to nominate more Asian people to have these positions in government. And she said, from going forward, I'm gonna say no on everything until you give me what I want. So that's what he started doing. He started giving her Asian appointees or whatever. And then during the whole Asian hate crime bill thing, there was only 2 Asian senators in the Senate. Those 2 senators told Biden, either you do something about this Asian hate crime bill, or you're gonna get no from us going forward with all this stuff. So they gave them the Stop Asian Hate crime bill. So So, like, the point I was trying to make online, I was like, there's over 50 people or 50 individuals in the Congressional Black Caucus. That's 50 people. They should have been doing power moves. They should have been using these very narrow margins in voting to press what they want from government ages ago. At least during my lifetime, there should be at least 10 major moments where the Congressional Black Caucus is like, this is what we want, or else we're going to shut down everything.
Exactly.
That should have been happening. Yeah, that should have been happening, and that's how you will power. That's how that works in that situation. Yeah, you wait until the margins get so narrow that you use your personal advantage to press what you want and to get what you want from politicians. That's how that works. So the people online who were arguing with me, talking about, well, he needed 200. Yeah, of course, we know that. We all know he needed 208 Democrats to vote against Republicans. The point is that you form your little coalition and you wedge yourself in to the narrow margins, and you get what you want. That's how that's supposed to work, people. And like, it's it's one thing for the Congressional Black Caucus to not do this, but for the people who vote them into office, for us to not realize this is also a problem. Because how do you correct the situation if you don't be like, listen, if you don't go in there and shut down government for about a week or two and get something done for us?
Yeah, we ain't doing
That's
it. Yeah,
how it's supposed to work.
Yep. That's how you wield power, though. And people don't even understand there are real advantages to these close margins. Where it's close, there are real advantages for you to move together as a block. Like, some people don't even have blocks. You have the Congressional Black Caucus. That's your caucus. Like, it's not like you're some kind of outlier and it's just like, well, I got to get in where I fit in. I don't really fit nowhere. You know what I mean? You have this huge block, and you just do whatever the Democrats say to you. A flunky.
Well, no, was it 50 out of 400? Was it like 10, 15%, whatever? The Congressional Black Caucus should be running Congress, to be honest. I mean, how many other caucuses are there? How many caucuses are there that are as large as the Congressional Black Caucus? Let's be honest. Like, we still, in my opinion, I haven't looked at data, but in my opinion, we still are the largest minority ethnicity in this country.
We are.
You know, like naturally formed one. I'm not talking about these made up ones. I'm talking about the naturally formed ethnicity in this country.
Not those concocted ones.
And I believe we have the largest caucus too. I think we're the largest caucus, right? Isn't it?
I would have to look up. I gotta look up. I haven't kept up with the Hispanic caucus. I haven't kept up with the Tea Party caucus. I don't think Tea Party caucus, but I haven't kept up with the Progressive caucus. I haven't kept up with the other caucus, so I don't know for sure. I don't want to say.
Well, 54 is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
One caucus is a lot. Yeah, they should be running Congress at this point. The fact that they can't get anything pushed through and they can't shut down Congress at all is a problem, and that is a massive failure on their part. And the last thing I want to say is in response to the previous caller. Now, he sounds very young. He sounds like he might be in high school. But the one thing I want to point out is when it comes to this whole Africa thing, listen, I don't hate the Africans. You know, I got love for everybody. But everyone's talking about Beyonce. Beyonce loves money. If there's one thing that woman loves, is a paycheck. If she could tour in Africa, she would do it. The reason why she's not touring in Africa is because the African continent does not have the infrastructure to support her tour. That's why she ain't going over there. There's no infrastructure that is in place for her to bring her tour to the African continent. Now, for all of you listening who want to escape to Africa, be honest with yourselves. You are Westerners. You are Americans. You are used to a standard of living that is very unique to a Western lifestyle, and that does not exist on the African continent. So if you want to go, but stop romanticizing this idea of Africa that does not exist. The infrastructure there is not.
Well, all the countries, no
standard.
That's one of the things we talked about, fam. Like, when, it's funny to me, and I'm glad you brought it up, but one of the things we talked about before was that the countries aren't even connected. Like, I don't even want to talk about it, but like, the countries aren't even connected in the right way. Like, for you to do that, like, you need to be able to Beyonce needs to be able to fly either private, usually from one place to another, and they don't have it set up for the private jets to hop from country to country or whatever, or her tour, or even a first class flight. Like, it's not set up that way. So they act like, I saw people like, well, you did a world tour without coming to Africa. What are you talking about? How is she supposed to get? Didn't Meek Mill get his phone stolen? I'm sorry. Like, What are y'all talking about? Y'all had to go through a whole lot to get that man's phone back, and he's a star over there. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's just when I hear people say that we need to go to Africa, I'm like, listen, if Beyonce ain't going there, because everyone knows who Beyonce is, if she ain't going there to get some money, then what chance do you think that you have? The infrastructure is not there for you to have the type of lifestyle that you are accustomed to. So, I mean, hey, if y'all want to go to Ghana, Nigeria, whatever, do you? I mean, I support you, girl, or guys, wherever you want to go.
Go ahead.
But the stop romanticizing something that just does not exist. It does not exist. It is not available. It's not going to improve your life. And regardless of however y'all may or may not feel, y'all are American citizens. You are used to an American standard of living.
And hold on, one other thing, fam. Yeah. You're not just American citizens. You're American. Like, and people can tell you have we can't hear it, right? Because we're in America. We have American accents, people. Like, that's when people hear us, because I've asked people, what's an American accent sound like? Somebody told me kind of nasally. I was offended. Like, hold on now. Hey, I don't sound nasally. But it's just like, we have an American accent, and the minute people hear it, it's the same thing if we hear somebody in this country with a French accent, or who somebody with a new immigrant who speaks Spanish. We know that person just immigrated into this country. We're American in every way except economically. So, and you don't get no richer. Like, you don't get no richer when you go over there, because where's your job? And then a lot of times, the inconsistent electricity, all kinds of things like that. So it doesn't get better for you over there. I don't think people understand. Like, you think because you're a Negro and we have created so much good culture in this country that you're not American. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're gonna get up one night and you're gonna want to go buy some food and have a late night eat and find a slice of pizza and be like, well, I be doggone at 4 a.m. and be like, there's no way to do that here.
I mean, the last thing I would say that I'll hang up is, like, listen, the people who want to escape, understand that, yes, we have a long way to go in America. I'm not saying things are perfect. What I am saying is that let this lesson of McCarthy be to you that we do have power in this country. We have a whole congressional caucus that technically should be running government. We have people in positions who have enough power to get things done. It only took 8 people to oust McCarthy. It only took one Asian senator to tell Biden what he's not going to do. I mean, this whole thing about we can't do X, Y, and Z, y'all need to wake up and realize what you have politically and join ADOS.com. So on that note, I'm gonna let y'all go.
Appreciate it,
Good
fam.
night to everybody.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. And it's the hardest thing to get ADOS to understand that you're American, and just because you're poor in America, being poor in America, is a totally different lifestyle than being poor somewhere else, or even being lower middle class and middle class somewhere else. That's still a totally different lifestyle. How do you not know that that's a totally different lifestyle? It is a totally different lifestyle, right? And so if you're in the context of the West, you're in the context of America, right? Like, if you call an ambulance right now, like, that ambulance should come. And it's messed up if they say we don't have an ambulance right now. You're going to be offended if you dial, and it happens in America. I'm not saying it doesn't, but if you dial 911 right now and they tell you there's no ambulance, you're going to be pissed off. You're going to be calling the news or whatever. You'll go to a place with what ambulance? What you talking about? Ain't nobody finna come pick nobody up. Like, ain't nobody finna, I gotta go run to the clinic, I gotta go run to the doctor, I gotta run to the emergency room. No, you gotta find the doctor, call the doctor on the phone. That's when I got sick. I had to call the doctor on the phone. I gotta find the doctor and call the doctor on the phone, and then he got the medicine on him. Oh no, child, I can't do that. I need a state of the art trauma center. Wherever I go, I need a state of the art trauma center. So if I get ran over by a car, I get hit by a billy goat, whatever. Hey, somebody gotta patch me up good. I get burned, I'm cooking me something in the stove, patch me up good. And I know I'm not finna live out in a patch or something. And then what if people get messed up because their life is messed up? I can't blame people if their life is messed up. I'm not saying nothing bad about the African people in whatever country. But if your life is messed up and I done bought a bunch of money over here to build me a house, and I'm over here sitting pretty, whose house you think they coming into first? They might come in somebody else's house. I'm over here in a patch of grass. It's so nice. I got so much around me. I got so much trees and stuff. Yeah, somebody gonna hide behind them trees. No, I know that crime happens everywhere. Y'all think everybody see y'all as they see me as brother and sister. No, you Yankee, and they're not being mean. Stop thinking somebody being mean. I said this last show. Stop thinking somebody's being mean because they call you a Yankee. You are a Yankee. Yankee doodle dandy, Yankee doodle doo. That's you. 601, I'm coming to you. What's up, 601?
Hello?
What's going on? How you doing?
Hey, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on Brendan Presley in Mississippi. I think he's running for the governor.
I don't really have any thoughts on it yet. You might want to, but check in with ADOS Mississippi and see what they think about it.
Okay.
Or follow them on Twitter.
I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Yankee Doodle Doo. 44336 44336. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What's going on? This is Al.
Hey, Al.
What's going on? This is Al from PA.
Hey.
I think we have saw the movie Black Panther and it just gone to our heads. We think that's an Africa that doesn't exist. But you're right about the power situation. Some parts, like in Nigeria, outside the capital, they have rolling power outages where when some parts of the city may have energy and lights and the other half don't. And then outside of the capital, some of the state buildings, they have toilets. But outside of that, you may not have a toilet or not. So you really got to do some real investing if you want to think about going over there. But my thoughts about the Democrats and this new Senate seat taking over, the Democrats do a lot of identity politics. We do it because we want to show, not we, I'm independent, but they want to show the rest of the country that we have both blacks, whites, gays, straights, and bisexual, and everything. We have a coalition of the country. And the Republicans, to be opposite of Republicans, just have one black senator, and that's Scott or something. We want to show that they're different than they are. And sometimes you got to make sure that the person is qualified, and you got to put their qualifications before anything else. I think that they should really hammer that they have this, that, and that. Them being their sexual orientation, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. That's your business. What you do in your 5 o'clock is up to you. But I want to hear what you're capable of. So they don't. The other side does not think that they're hiring these people just to fill a block or just to fill a quota, and because so much emphasis is placed on the other than their qualifications. Look at Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, head of the judiciary. He doesn't even have he didn't even pass the bar.
And that's like Gaetz' mentor. That's like Gaetz' mentor right there, Jim Jordan. So when you mention him, yeah, you think child go on. So I'm sorry.
He doesn't even have a law degree or pass the bar to be where he's at. But he got the spot. There's a lot of them on there. Tommy Tuberville from Alabama. He's a daggone football coach. He don't know nothing. His education has nothing to do with the Senate. He probably wouldn't know how many amendments are there to the Constitution. He's not smart. You're putting people who fill a box instead of qualifications.
Check the box. Yep.
And it's taking the country completely down the hole. And also for McCarthy, there was no way the Dems are going to save him. The Democrats were like, he reneged on his agreement about the debt ceiling. He made a debt ceiling agreement stating that they would not cut beneficial programs like WIC and SNAP and Medicaid assistance. He backtracked on it. He said, I'm going to cut all of it. And he also, what did he also do? He also did this thing against Joe Biden, tried to push Joe Biden impeachment without any type of proof. It was supposed to go to vote, and it never went to vote. So he just took it right straight to the inquiry. So yeah, he was gone.
Well, and the thing is, he was playing a game he couldn't win, right? In the sense of, to me, because he was trying to because of that thing that said one vote you can try to vacate and get him out of here. So he's trying to play to the Republicans, especially the right wing, right? But then that means that like he's going too far with the Democrats and trying to please them. So now you getting to the point where you ain't really pleasing nobody, and it's one vote. And oh boy, when it's just one vote to get you out of here, that heat's got to be on the back of your neck, boy. And so like I don't see how he could have survived long term Anyway, after that was changed because Gaetz didn't like him at first, didn't like him after that, and he was growing. He has a lot of sway in terms of that particular aspects of the Republican Party. So I don't see how he could have, like, that one vote thing. You might as well just, I don't even want it. Give it to somebody else. I mean, like, but I think he was in a hard place. But go ahead, fam. I'm sorry, but you're right.
And look at Donald Trump. He's no worse. Donald Trump is sitting there talking about the judge, and he's going to be gone too soon. I'm just glad that we are slowly. It takes the Democrats a very long time to get it together, to start putting ducks in order to let people see what we're actually seeing. I mean, this is a lot of firsts, but it's a wake up call.
That's true.
That's all I gotta say.
Appreciate it, fam. No, you're right. You're right about it. Yeah, I don't think he's hard to wiggle your way out of that, trying to please everybody. Pleasing everybody, you don't please nobody. And people always say, "Oh, Yvette," that's what they said about us and ADOS. This, you don't want to be combative. You got to be conciliatory. That's what we've always done. We've always just been conciliatory to everybody and not combative, and hoping that somewhere along the line somebody remember us and they have a heart for us Negroes. And that's never happened, right? So you can't just be like, life is not about, even in terms of a lot of the criticisms about me or whatever. Oh, you're just too combative, or you just too. That's because I see something that maybe you don't see, and I know that sometimes you have to be combative. Sometimes you got to fight. Now, there are definitely times you got to sit down and have a conversation, and you don't need to fight. Some people can be convinced and influenced, and you don't have to do that. But sometimes you got to fight. Everything ain't just coming in the room smiling and hoping for the best. Yes, sir, I sure did. Yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir. Do you need your feet done? Do you need your shoes done good? I got some new shoe shine. Like, that's over with. And I hope that what we're doing here is the beginning of the end of that kind of politics. If there's one legacy besides reparations that ADOS needs to leave, it's that we change the way that we do politics as ADOS in America. That needs to change. I'm going to, this is going to be my last call. I'm going to 443. 443, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm George from Maryland.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing much. It's been one hell of a week. I think I want to say I have like 3 points.
Okay.
I want to start off with Dianne Feinstein and the gerontocracy we have in Congress. This woman, Dianne Feinstein, was a corporate Democrat who refused to step down. She literally died in office at 90. Remember, she had to give power of attorney to her 66-year-old daughter.
66-year-old daughter, yeah.
And she had her aides telling her how to vote. I mean, last time I checked, no one voted for those aides.
Nope.
So this is theater. But Dianne Feinstein should have retired years ago. She knew she wasn't in the best of health. So why didn't she step down years ago and let Gavin Newsom put a black woman in that position?
Well, and let somebody announce your retirement and let somebody run for that office. That's the way it's supposed to be. Listen, you need to at 65, 70, you need to come off of there and announce to everybody, hey, I'm not running for re-election, and then let other people run for that seat. Like, just dying in office is the most awful thing, and I don't know why younger people aren't more pissed off about it. Like, people should have been protesting and saying, go home. But you can't, that's not my fight to fight, but it's just insane that we're okay with letting these old people. I remember one time she was supposed to be voting and she just started talking about how she felt about the bill. Ma'am, it is time to vote. Child, it is not time for that. It is not time for you to talk about. We are beyond comment. And they was telling her, can you just vote, press yes? No, that's not how this is supposed to work.
Remember, Nancy Pelosi, she said she wants to run again for her position in Congress. She's 83 years old. I think people need to step down. They've been in power for so long. They need to let younger people come in with fresh new ideas instead of staying there forever. And my second point, we're witnessing a master class in how power really works. Because the McCarthy guy, he went behind the Republicans' back and did a secret deal with the Democrats for more Ukraine funding. Even though the Republicans, and this is, I want to know what's your opinion on this. Republicans are actually against sending more money to Ukraine. Meanwhile, you have Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren that want to keep funding the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, they're ignoring the actual needs of the American people.
Yeah. Well, that's why isn't that what Gaetz said? He said, you know, you want to come up to me and you want to say that I'm not that I'm not paying for people who pick up the trash. You want to come up to me and say I'm not paying for veterans, but I just don't want to send any more money. And over there, he said, and that's what they were saying. So like they were at least able to convince 8 people, and because of what he did, because of what McCarthy and the deal he had with the Democrats and everything that the last caller mentioned, he was able to get him out of there. But I'm thinking about, you only need to get 8 people you need to get the Democrats, and it's not, I don't know how hard it is, depending on the circumstance, to get Democrats to flip on a Republican and turn that into chaos. But then you need to get 8 of your people. But that's the kind of strategic stuff that has to happen. Not just, we're Democrats, so we vote Democrat. We support. That's not the way power works and moves. So it's just interesting. But go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry.
And the last point is regarding President Joe Biden. With Joe Biden, if you've seen it in the news, they're talking about, his polling numbers aren't doing good because, with every indictment they give Donald Trump's support actually increases with the black community, and people don't know why. So they're saying that they might replace Joe Biden with either Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom to run up against Donald Trump. Or they might try to have Kamala Harris run against Trump. But I think if Kamala Harris would have run against Trump, she would lose. Because, Kamala Harris was like a top cop. She was the top cop in, California. Also, I was disgusted when Kamala Harris went to Tyre Nichols' funeral, saying that she was like a whole cop, a whole prosecutor. Mm-hmm. That's my last point.
Well, let me just say this. I don't think Karen Bass ain't running against nobody. Ain't nobody giving Karen Bass a nomination for nothing. So, but I don't think Newsom said he's not gonna run. He said something to the extent of he's not gonna run. I don't think they're gonna replace him with Newsom. I think they're gonna try to keep Biden and keep Trump so hemmed up in lawsuits and stuff and prosecutions or whatever that he doesn't have time to campaign or whatever. Because really and truthfully,
real fast.
Go ahead.
There are even rumors that Michelle Obama might, try to run, or that people might want her to run, because she is a black woman, Democrat, former first lady. She could try to do like a Hillary Clinton, but in blackface. I don't think she wants to challenge Biden, and I think her life too good. Like once your life is that good and you got millions of dollars, Michelle Obama didn't like the White House when she was there. Right? She didn't want to be there. Wasn't nobody happier to lead the White House than Michelle Obama. That was Barack's ambition, and wasn't nobody happy leading her. I don't see her coming back. She's a multimillionaire. She got a house on Martha's Vineyard. I don't see her coming back for nothing. You gonna tell me what? She gonna come back for the people? But so I don't see none of that stuff happening. And I don't think Biden has a strong enough vice president, and I think that's why people wanted him to replace Kamala. But then the black people started threatening and all kind of stuff and saying they don't want to do that. I think in order to replace Biden, he got to fall 3 more times. I think he got to be sick. I think he got to say I have some kind of diagnosis or something, and then they will replace him. But I think even if Kamala says, "Hey, it's me and I'm up," I think it's a fight, because I don't think anybody really I think it's gloves off then. Like if something happens to Biden, he says, "Well, I got a diagnosis, God forbid, or whatever." Something. I don't think that Kamala is the automatic, because her polling numbers are too low. So I think she's gonna fight. She's gonna have to fight in the primary, and I think she'll lose if that happens. But that's a big if. Right now, I think they're trying to stick with Biden, and and they're trying to stick with Biden and keep Trump out of there. They want to have him go up against one of these other Republicans who ain't really polling well, and not Trump. So appreciate it, fam. Thank you.
Have a good one. Yeah, great call though. Great call. Thank you to all the callers. I appreciate y'all. Some good political analysis out there today. I appreciated it now. I appreciate all y'all. And I even appreciate those of y'all who gonna be in Mama Africa soon. Yeah, but I think it's time. I put up a video about Garvey, only 7 minutes long the other day, and I'll leave it this. I really think it's time though. I really think it's time. Y'all hear me out. And I just said this, but the reason I said it, I'm really not, I joke sometimes, but I really think it's time. You had Garvey in the 1900s or whatever talking about back to Africa. They're going to go back to Liberia and stuff. I think it's time for people to just stop talking. Don't keep talking to me about where you want to go. And I meant it when I said it. Don't keep talking to me about what you think we should do. I think it's time for everybody who wants to do that to build some kind of coalition of Year of Return people. It's the Year of Return Coalition. And y'all need to go back. And like I said, I want to see it. Please put everything up on YouTube. Everything that you experience, not just the good stuff. The good stuff, put that up too. You had a wonderful experience with people, all that good stuff. If you have a rolling blackout, I want to see it. Now maybe you gotta have some batteries over there now. So, but I want to see everything, and I want to see everything that happens. But I think it's time. Y'all been talking about this for so long. I think it's time y'all finally get what y'all want. And listen, I want the best for you. I want the best for y'all. I want for y'all's dreams to be realized. So if people have been dreaming since the Garvey era, not like they still alive, but I'm saying that has been a dream within ADOS, since amongst some people, since the Garvey era and before, to go back to Africa. I want y'all to get together and make it happen. I want y'all to get together, and I promise you, I will watch that blog. I will watch your YouTube with intensity and fervor. I promise you that. So anyway, fam, I love y'all. I appreciate you. Please. I'm going to be somewhere on Saturday too. It's a very Pan-African event that's happening in Atlanta. So if you are around, if you're going to be in town, if you don't, I meant to. I knew I meant to do something. I meant to post it. I meant to tweet it today, and I forgot. But I think it's the National Reparations Conference or Committee, something. I do not know, family. But it will be, I think, at Georgia State. So look it up if you want to be there. I will be there, not among people who like me. But anyway, that's cool. That's fine. So if you're around, fam, come check it out. So good night, family. If you're on Patreon, I will see you tomorrow. If you're not on Patreon, I will see you next week. Keep it easy breezy. Y'all have a good one.